Number 10. Asajj Ventress and Obi-Wan Kenobi team up to take on Maul and Savage Opress in the Clone Wars. What's not to like about this duel? You got the Zabrak brothers, and you got Asajj Ventress and her rival Obi-Wan teaming up, to take on these Zabrak former Sith apprentices. So, I love this duel for many reasons. I mean, I'm not such a big fan of the notion that Darth Maul survived his injury in The Phantom Menace. I mean, how could anyone survive getting cut in half and falling an unseeable distance? But, whatever. This duel is great. It takes place as Asajj Ventress is rescuing Obi-Wan from Maul and Savage's freighter above Raydonia. The dialogue between Asajj and Obi-Wan, along with the remarks by Savage Opress and Maul, are quite comedic, but it's not over the top. So, it's still serious, but there's a few remarks that are funny. The rage in Maul's voice and eyes as he wants to quench his thirst for vengeance over Kenobi is present. The choreography, the creativity is present in the combative sequences of the duel. They really spent a lot of time making sure that this fight, it has some good action in it, like some creative sequences in it. Obi-Wan even has to use Asajj Ventress' red saber until he recollects his old saber after sidestepping Maul. The setting, it's a dark room, but the red Sith swords lighted up in the quaint area that this duel takes place in. Yeah, Obi-Wan and Asajj are overpowered, and they're forced to escape, though. As Obi-Wan is calmly but quickly trying to disengage from the freighter, Maul and Savage are breaking through the door with their sabers. Maul and Savage are just a second too late as Asajj and Obi-Wan escape, and you can just tell Maul is sickened by his vengeance being snatched from him. But Maul doesn't get enraged like I suspected he would. He actually is patient, which shows his maturity. So I love this duel, and I love all the aspects in it, the whole spectrum. If you haven't seen the Clone Wars, go and watch this duel on YouTube, and I bet it'll persuade you to start watching the Clone Wars, because this duel, it really just has it all. It's really an underrated duel, mainly because it's animated, but it's a great duel. It's really fun, and it's got a lot of emotional weight to it as well. Number 9 on my list. Alright, this may be a controversial decision for me to place it here, but Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, it's a little confusing. People still consider, Vader to be Anakin here, but I don't. I think he's officially Darth Vader here because, he is deemed Darth Vader right after he assists Palpatine in killing Mace Windu, so technically he's Darth Vader here, but people still refer to him as Anakin until he's placed in the suit. But Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan, Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, this may be controversial for me to place it so high on the list, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. I know it's loved for the most part, but I'm just not a huge fan, The choreography is exquisite, and the visual effects are amazing. The lava is real. Like, they actually went to the site of a volcano and recorded lava and placed it in the background of this fight. So some of this lava is not digital effects. Some of this lava is like really taken from real motion capture. So the visual effects are great. The acting by Hayden Christensen before the duel begins is great. People say it's choppy and that he's all over the place, but and even Hayden Christensen, I think, criticized himself, if I'm recalling correctly. But it's supposed to be all over the place. His acting is supposed to be all over the place. He portrays all his emotions all over the place because he's mentally unstable. He's confused, he's enraged, he's sad, he's trying to justify his actions. So people say his acting's all over the place in Revenge of the Sith. I'm like, it's supposed to be. But I think Hayden Christensen is really convincing. The choreography is great. The build-up is what we've been waiting to see forever. The dialogue is alright. It's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And, this is a duel that we've been waiting to see forever. And, everything's there and everything's perfect, but George Lucas went over the top. There are too many sequences in the midst of the duel, like fighting on thin pipelines over rivers of lava and, Tarzan swinging on ropes and climbing up collapsing monstrosities while still fighting. It just goes over the top in a few places. And I love the ending, despite some hating it because they say that it's stupid. but I don't think it is. You know, Anakin was in over his head and took a leap of faith. Sure, he could have got off and ran up the hill, but Obi-Wan told him not to lurch at him, which Anakin, who is officially Vader already, you know, Vader, he takes this as an insult, and so he wants to prove he's powerful. So he takes the leap, but it doesn't work out well. The beginning and ending scenes to this duel are great and emotionally enveloping. I mean, truly. I mean, choking out his wife, his pregnant wife, and Obi-Wan's appearance is badass as you see him on top of the ramp. That's some iconic imagery for you. And the ending is heart-wrenching, you know, as we see the lava and flames just enveloping and burning Vader up. Obi-Wan is on the verge of tears. We see him grabbing Anakin's saber, and he's about to cry, you know. But he grabs Anakin's saber, which will be passed on to Luke, so it's a nice tidbit there. And so, I mean, yes, this duel, it has perfect action choreography. You know, the stunt choreographer, Nick Gallard, the duel technician, he did great with it. But it just goes over the top and goes on forever. I don't find it boring, but I just think it went a little too far. So it'll have to settle for number 9, despite how important it is to the saga, because this is how Vader becomes Vader in the suit. So it's an important duel, but it just goes over the top in a few places. I don't find it boring, it's just not one of my favorites.